Last time on Everdark, Ryder and Deimos faced off against 5 vampires in the Sect of Dawn. Ryder had thought to keep Grayson safe by putting him in a closet. But thankfully, Grayson didn't stay put. He uses his powers to rescue Ryder from the Sect vampires, but at what cost to himself? Everdark Academy, Episode 7. No Choice. Water surrounded Grayson. Or maybe it wasn't water, but he was suspended in it. It was a dusky blue, lighting above him to a clear grey and darkening below him to a pitch black. Grayson slowly spun in a circle, trying to see if there was something different depending on where he looked. But every direction showed him the same. Nothing. And yet, Grayson felt like he had been here before, in this nothing, though when, he couldn't quite place.
Did Grayson do that? How? He's not a vampire.
Grayson whipped around, but Deimos was not there. He was alone in the blue void. Humans have spoken about powers like those for ages. I always thought that it was because of their exposure to our kind. Ryder answered on the other side of him.
Ryder?
Grayson spun around again.
As far as I know, there are no humans who can do what he did.
And yet, here he is. Grayson thought he felt someone tucking a blanket around him. He wasn't sure if he imagined the brush of warm fingers against his jaw, or the light placement of a palm against his forehead.
Ryder!
He knew it was Ryder touching him. The man, or vampire, was a mass of contradictions. He seemed to want to protect Grayson, picking Grayson up as if he was a toy, standing between Grayson and danger, touching him as if his hands should be an anchor for Grayson, and they weirdly had been. He didn't like being touched, but when Ryder had done so, he'd felt safe. But safety was an illusion. Then there was the Ryder who had looked at him out of narrowed, burning silver eyes as if he suspected Grayson of something. There was hunger in his clenched jaw and parted lips. Ryder seemed wild in those moments, as if about to lose control. The two aspects of him shouldn't be allowed to exist in one man, one vampire, but they did. And that meant that any safety that Grayson felt with him had to be fought. The vampire was a predator, through and through, no matter that he could be gentle, no matter that he seemed to have a desire to protect. He was still a creature who drank blood, who fed on Grayson's kind.
What happened between you two back there at the church?
Deimos's voice was now located forward and to Grayson's left. Grayson couldn't just hear him, but also the hum of tires on the road and the faint thump-thump as they passed over sections of highway.
We're in a car. Deimos is driving. I'm in the back seat, probably lying down, and Ryder's in the front passenger seat.
Grayson realized, even though the blue world surrounding him did not change.
Am I asleep? Unconscious? Is somewhere between the two? Yeah, it must be. Used too much of my power, and now I'm here.
What do you mean? There was nothing. Ryder's voice had gone all growly and low, which gave lie to his words.
What do I mean? Don't you play me, boy. I know you down to your bones, and I swear I thought you were going to take Grayson right then and there with all our enemies around us. Now, Grayson is beautiful, and he's got that doe-eyed look you like so much. But when we're about to fight, seriously? You have never been so distracted like that before. So what's the deal?
Ryder made a sound. Was it pain? Grayson remembered the burns on the bear's front. He had known that bear was Ryder. He'd known more than that. He'd known that Ryder was in danger.
Why did he put me there? I wasn't safe there. Small and horrible, and he didn't know. He didn't have any idea, and I got out.
Being in the closet had been hard. Staying still and silent in the dark while the sounds of fighting was going on had been almost impossible. But then, he'd heard the triumph in the female vampire's voice, faint though it had been. He'd blown open the door to the closet, and then he'd moved with a certainty that he'd never had before. He'd shattered the back door to the church and sent the stakes flying at her before he'd even seen her. He'd known where she was. He'd known.
They know now, too. They know what I can do, and they aren't scared. But they're going to take me to the Everdark, and there's nothing I can do.
His blood would be useful right about now. Ryder's voice held a mixture of amusement and discomfort.
The blood we took off those homeless was not enough, I know that. But it would have been too dangerous for them if we took more, and you didn't want to stop and find a club.
No, we need to get Grayson to the Everdark. Plenty of willing acolytes there to feed me and heal this. Grayson could faintly smell the scent of burning flesh. He thought of Ryder's perfect chest, all blackened and weeping fluids.
It could have been loads worse if Grayson hadn't staked that Horus vampire.
Demos said it almost casually, but Grayson knew that the emotions behind those words were not casual. These two men were friends, brothers, and the devastation of losing the other could not likely have been calculated. Grayson wondered what it would be like to have someone you could trust like that. Was their kinship an illusion? If it was tested, would it last? But more importantly, caring that much for someone else was dangerous because it meant you were not free to get out of a situation. They counted on you. You counted on them. Definitely dangerous. She was much more powerful than I thought. She was able to send lightning out of her hands.
We're sure she's dead?
I hope not. I want her alive to be questioned. But she's dead enough that she won't get out of the trunk. Nor will the others. Gotta find out who they are. The Iros will do it. Or the Cali. Whichever, I suppose. A chill went through Grayson. The female vampire was just feet away from him in the trunk of the car, and he was unable to even move, let alone run if he needed to.
That old dude was a lot tougher than he had any right to be. It's not good that he got away.
They got the drop on both of us.
Well, it's not my finest hour, that's for sure. So, you didn't answer my question. All right, what's the deal between you and the little one?
There is no deal, and I'm not little. These two are abnormally big.
I don't know. I felt like I was losing control.
Felt like, or were?
I was. I fixated on him like we used to do when we were young fledglings, just out for our first hunts. Grayson swallowed. He could feel his throat and mouth. That was good. But was what he was hearing good? A vampire being fixated on him couldn't be good.
Maybe it has something to do with his powers. Maybe his blood called to you.
Oh, right. Make it my fault that Ryder nearly loses control and bites me.
If that was the case, it should have called to you as well. And it did not, right? Or did you just hide it better than me? There was a hint of possessiveness in Ryder's tone, as if Demos better not have craved Grayson's blood. Grayson felt odd when he realized that. Everyone who had found out what he was wanted him gone. His powers scared them. He couldn't be normal. He was dangerous. His powers hurt people. But then the female vampire hadn't been scared, but found him fascinating. She should have been scared, though, considering what he did to her.
No, I did not. Doe-eyed and broken are your thing, not mine.
Doe-eyed and broken? Is he saying that about me?
He just seems haunted. When I put him in the closet, I think I made a big mistake. He was ready to claw his way out of there. Grayson swallowed again and pushed down the claustrophobia that even thinking of dark, tight places brought. This strange blue place was vast. He felt a different kind of angst here. But so long as he could hear their voices, he was okay. He just pushed himself way too hard. He'd never used his powers this much. His fire needed fueling, but right now, he needed to rest.
And you still put him in there?
It was the safest place. I couldn't just leave him sitting on a pew. Couldn't bring him with me. He needed to be somewhere he wouldn't be able to get into trouble from.
And yet, thank the immortals, he did, because he saved your vampire ass and likely mine too.
You've changed your tune on him. Where's all the suspicion and narrowed eyes from before? It was true that Demos seemed to be more in his corner than before, which Grayson was glad about. But then again, it was because they had him unconscious in the back seat, and Grayson had saved Ryder's life, as he said. So that's all it took to take Demos to change his mind?
He was lying, Ryder. I sensed that. And I was just playing bad cop since you were ready to pat him on the head, or more like kiss his temple, and tell him that everything was going to be all right.
Grayson thought he felt heat flare in his cheeks. Kissing him? Demos thought that Ryder wanted to kiss him? This was ridiculous to feel embarrassed about.
Kiss me or feed from me? Which is it? Or is it both?
He looks like he's had a hard life. Ryder didn't deny the kissing bit, which had Grayson feeling all sorts of strange.
Yeah, imagine having powers like that. I bet it's played havoc with his life.
He lied to us, probably because anyone he's told about them has either disbelieved him.
Which we, of all people, would not have done.
Right, but the other sort of people would have wanted to examine him. Grayson's heart started to thump faster. He heard someone turn around in their seat. He thought it might be Ryder, having heard the difference in his heart rate and was checking on him. Grayson tried to calm himself down, but being unable to move was making that difficult.
Is he waking up?
Keep your eyes on the road. Not quite yet. He felt fingers move along his forehead, smoothing out tension lines that he hadn't known were there, and Grayson found himself relaxing under those touches. He told himself not to. He told himself to fight the comfort that Ryder's touch brought. Had he not just heard them talking about how Ryder was having difficulty not wanting to bite him? It's okay, Grayson. Let yourself sleep. You're safe. Despite his best efforts, Grayson drifted down into blackness, but it wasn't scary, it was comforting, and he slept. The next time he came to, he was no longer in the blue space, but was actually awake. He knew this by the fact that his head felt like someone was drilling a hole into it and then pouring in acid before sloshing his brain around. He lifted a hand to his head, relieved to be able to move, and touched his temple, but even that caused him to wince. He lay there, trying to figure out where he was without opening his eyes and looking around. He wasn't in the car anymore. He didn't hear the hiss of tires over asphalt or the thumps. Also, wherever he was no longer had street lamps that would flash over his closed eyelids. The room was dimly lit, if there was any light at all. For this, he was eternally grateful. He wondered if the room was small, like a closet or a coffin small. His hands stretched out to his sides. All they found was more sheets. Definitely crisp, cool, cotton sheets over top a very comfy mattress. He turned his head slightly to the right. His nose hit a soft pillow that had a faint sandalwood scent. There was a light duvet over him. It was airy and yet very warm. He was comfortable, except for his head.
I'm in bed.
And then he realized what that meant.
I'm in the Everdark.
We publish the same chapters on audio-only platforms and YouTube, but our YouTube channel has an important feature: live streams. We try to live stream every month for Q&As, giveaways of books and audiobooks, fan art and fan fiction showcases, and more. It's a fun time. If you want to join in on the next one, look at the Live tab on our YouTube channel. The link is in the notes.
His eyelids shot open, and thankfully the only light came from wainscoting at the top of the wall where the walls met the ceiling. Soft, silvery light was emitted from there. Most of the light was blocked by the heavy hangings that surrounded the bed. It was a 4-poster, something that Grayson had only ever seen in movies that had castles, so it fit the Everdark. Wasn't every city in the Everdark supposed to be one of the Immortals' castles in a way? He heard a sound, the scratch and hiss of a match being lit, and his gaze shot towards the fireplace at the end of the bed. A man was kneeling there, lighting kindling. It caught quickly and immediately cast a golden glow on the person's features. He was in his mid-30s, though he was likely a vampire, so how he looked didn't mean anything about how old he really was, and wearing a well-tailored 3-piece suit in grey and blue. He had dark blonde hair that brushed the top of his collar. "Hello, Grayson." Grayson jerked, and his head thrummed with pain. He brought both hands up to his head and opened his mouth in a silent scream, even as he curled into a fetal position. "Oh, dear. I didn't mean to startle you, but I thought since you'd seen me that it would be all right to speak. My fault. Should have checked," the man continued. Through his fingers, Grayson saw the man, Vampire, gracefully rise from the fireplace and approach the bed. Grayson couldn't even move or talk to tell him to keep back. He doubted it would have worked anyways. He noticed that vampires did what they wanted. The man then touched him, and he didn't like it.
Not Ryder!
Grayson's head vibrated like a bell. It was agony. Not Ryder. So he isn't the only one to feel a connection. Undeterred by his words as he put fingers on Grayson's aching temples.
No!
Grayson was trying to say that he had no connection to Ryder, and for this man not to touch him. But everything came out garbled and not as he wanted. The pain was just unbelievable. Ice picks stabbing his brain, acid sizzling his grey matter, throbbing pain that radiated throughout his body, and then it was gone. The man took his fingers away from Grayson's temples and drew a chair over to the side of the bed. Grayson didn't move for long moments as he tried to ascertain if the pain was really gone. After all, how could it be there, ever present and agonizing, and then vanish? It's not actually gone. I've just told your mind not to concentrate on it. The command will fade when the pain has gone away.
You read my mind?
Grayson brought his hands down on his face and looked at the vampire. The vampire sat easily with his legs deftly crossed one over the other. His long-fingered hands were loosely held in his lap. The word to describe his affect was languid. He was completely at ease, so at ease that he was arguably melting in his chair.
Who
am I? Lord Balthazar Ravenscroft, or the immortal Eiros, if you prefer. I answer to both. The vampire, the immortal, bowed without leaving his chair.
Eiros, you're the headmaster of the academy. The vampire wannabe school, right?
Fearlessly, Grayson took in the well-dressed figure, who smiled at him. Vampire wannabe school? Oh, I'm going to use that to annoy Camorn. He is deadly serious about this school and the students. Balthazar's pleasant baritone laugh drifted around the room. His silver eyes glowed softly in the low light. They were mesmerizing. Not in the way that Ryder's were, but they invited him to relax and open up and tell Balthazar everything.
What the hell?
Grayson rocketed up in the bed and winced in expectation of pain, but it did not come. You felt that, did you? Interesting. One of so many interesting things about you. Balthazar put a hand to his chest and explained, unnecessarily, I read minds. I'm reading your mind.
I don't want you to.
Grayson could hear the childlike whine in his own voice. He doubted what he wanted mattered. I'm afraid not. Not in this case, in any event. Balthazar was reading his mind again. He brought his hands together and leaned forward on his elbows. As unpleasant as the thought of me poking around in your head is, isn't this better than having to tell me everything? Grayson opened and shut his mouth. Being questioned was what he'd always feared. Why he'd fled before the red and blue lights flared outside his home's windows. Why he'd never let his mother even open her mouth to ask the obvious question.
How did you kill your stepfather, Grayson? How could a boy do that?
I guess there's some benefits.
Grayson thrust those thoughts from his mind. Yes. Balthazar nodded, clearly knowing this was true regardless of what Grayson said out loud. And I've only looked at tonight's events. No further back, though I really wanted to.
Just tonight? Why?
I've been asked not to.
By who? Did Ryder ask?
Oh, Ryder most certainly didn't want me asking you anything. He got quite upset when I told him that he couldn't be here with you while I looked at your memories.
I don't know why he would care.
Grayson lied. But was it a lie? He didn't understand why Ryder would care, or why he would care that Ryder might care. Balthazar leaned back in his chair with a grin. He doesn't either, which is interesting in and of itself. He is a protector, and you're his type, though you're a bit tougher than you look.
I've had to be.
Grayson found the words just slipping out before he could stop them. You're special, and the world wants to destroy special people unless they're strong enough to survive it. Grayson didn't answer. He tried keeping the memories that those words brought up down so that Balthazar didn't read them. He wasn't sure if that actually worked, but he had to try. Though this vampire seemed all right, it wasn't safe. None of this was safe. He wanted answers to some of his own questions.
Am I in the Everdark?
Yes, in the city of Nightvallen. You're actually in the Eiros Palace, my palace. Balthazar beamed. He was clearly quite proud of this.
So if you looked into my head and know what happened with Gregory Starn, I'd take it that I'm not staying here.
Grayson didn't actually think this. He was simply hoping it was true. You know that's not happening. Even if we were to just let you go, do you think that would be a good idea? The sect of Dawn, or whoever this group really is, will be gunning for you. You have no money to relocate. You have no car to simply drive off and disappear into the sunset. You have no family to take you in. You are a sitting duck.
But you don't care about that. I'm nothing to you.
Balthazar went very still. He didn't even seem to breathe. And then he was moving again like a photograph come to life. Well, that's not true. Among other things, we want to stop those people who want to stop you.
The enemy of my enemy is my friend.
Indeed. Balthazar's grin didn't dim, but Grayson was sure he wasn't telling the full truth. He didn't have to read minds to know that.
So, what do you want?
Grayson's hands fisted in the duvet, which seemed deceptively soft now. Many things. Ask me what I want, and you might as well ask me what the meaning of life is. But what you're really asking is what is going to happen to you now. Balthazar rephrased. Grayson just nodded. We want you to stay here and go to school at the Vampire Wannabe Academy. Oh, I so love that. Balthazar's grin was infectious, if it wasn't for the dread Grayson felt.
Why?
As I said before, you have nowhere else to go that is safe. We want to keep you safe. Maybe you can help us figure out who these people are. Maybe you can figure out who you are.
I know who I am.
You know who you are now. Let us help you discover who you are going to be.
I don't want your help with that.
Grayson slid his legs out from under the duvet. He was no longer wearing the clothes he had been in. He was wearing just a light pair of drawstring pants.
And as to those people, they just found me by accident. They weren't looking for me, so they won't keep looking.
They'll keep looking, Grayson. We both know that. And though you have demonstrated great skills, you were lucky. You won't be so lucky again.
I saved your people.
Yes, you did. But you couldn't have gone up against 5 vampires alone, could you? You needed Ryder and Demos as much as they ended up needing you. Didn't you? Balthazar's silver eyes were focused on him like twin lasers, seeing inside of him. You shouldn't lie to yourself, and it really is pointless to lie to me.
Staying here isn't a request, is it?
Balthazar's smile still did not dim. We now have an open spot at the academy. Most people would kill for it, but we're giving it to you, Grayson. Be sensible and simply take it.
Right. Just give in and be your
student. There are so many things here that will benefit you. Then, with a rather impish smile, Balthazar added, including Ryder. He's outside my palace, pacing, and being ridiculous and all wearing-like. It's very exciting.
I don't care about—
Remember what I said about lying, young man? Balthazar wagged a finger at him. Now, you should get dressed. Ryder is waiting, and we have some pomp and circumstance to get through.
Even when Grayson's exhausted by using his powers, things are still going on. But crucially, we get to meet one of my absolute favorite characters in the Everdark universe, and that is Lord Balthazar Ravenscroft, or the Immortal Eiros. When I first began writing Everdark Academy, which is, as you guys know, a sequel or more like a continuation of Everdark, I had a lot of ideas about how the story had to go, how something had to be written if it was a romance. But my members of wraithrain.com, who get to see every chapter as it's posted, were like, We want to see more of, Balthazar and Christian and Julian and Damon and all of them. You can't just not give us our favorites, even though we have new favorites in Grayson and Ryder and Demos. And they were right, because I realized when I'm actually writing for the people who are reading my stuff, I just get to ask them what they want to know and see more of, and they told me, and I can do anything I want, which sounds sort of crazy. Yes, there are rules, but you can break them if your readers or listeners want to go along with you on the ride. And so that's what I did with Everdark Academy. I broke the rules that I thought I had to follow. And I think the story, unsurprisingly, because readers told me this, is so much better. So, what do you guys think of our resident Iros vampire? And once more, thank you so much for listening, for sharing, for commenting, for liking, for subscribing, for just being there for us, for picking up a book, or coming and being a member of Wraith Rain, or just, being quiet and being a part of all of this. We really appreciate it.